Hey everyone, welcome to the Take Ownership podcast. I'm your host, Josh Smith. I'm a real estate investor, business owner, and this is our very first podcast. And I couldn't think of a better way to start things off, or kick things off, than with the incredible Miss Tracy Koa. Now, if you haven't met Tracy, you are in for quite the treat today. She is a motivational speaker. She's a former school teacher turned entrepreneur, real estate investor, and she's doing some amazing things in the co-living space, which I'm hoping we get into a little bit today. Long story short, she's the person you want to know. So with that, Tracy, welcome. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for taking the time to come today.
Oh my gosh, Josh, thank you. What a great introduction. I really appreciate that. And I'm very honored to be on your first podcast. So thank you. It'll
Thank
be
you so
fun to
much.
look back a year from now and see the growth for both of us. So
Yeah,
it's super fun.
exactly. No, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you taking the time. We'll get this started off really just kind of a quick. So I've been lucky enough to get to know you over the past year through Subto and now Owners Club. And for anybody who's wondering what Subto is or that, so Subto, it's a real estate investing community. I would argue probably the real estate community. I think Tracy
The
could probably
best.
attest to that for sure.
Yes.
And then Owners Club, the best way I could describe this, and Tracy, maybe you have a different way, but I would say it's like a mastermind on steroids,
Yeah.
where you have not only you're leveling up in your business, your real estate, but also you're owning businesses with each other. It is such a great group of people. Obviously,
Yeah.
Tracy's in there, is in there. It's really awesome. But if you're curious on that, I know Tracy or myself, we'd be more than happy to kind of fill you in on what all that's about. And at the
Absolutely.
end of this, we're going to make sure that I get Tracy's contact information out to you, and that way you can reach out to Tracy.
I love that.
So Tracy, gave
Yeah.
the audience a little sneak peek into
Yeah.
who you are,
Yep.
but let's hear from you. Can you
Okay.
share a little bit about your journey and what you're currently focused on?
Pardon me. Yeah. So, like you said, I was in education, and had been my career since I was young. And gosh, about 4 years ago now, we had a wildfire come through our community. And not only did I lose my home, but the majority of my students lost their home. And that was really like the kick in the butt that I needed to make a change. I'd been teaching for a long time. It is a good career, but teaching is, I call it a hobby career, right? It's like the second income career. It's not paying the bills. And for many years, I was a single mom as well. So I knew I had more to give, more to do. I wanted to support and motivate people based on my experiences as a young person. And which is why I became a teacher. But the income wasn't enough that I would be able to take time off work and go speak at events or, volunteer more. So that fire really I mean, it was really truly a blessing. It really brought the perspective of how quickly everything can be gone, right? And so what really matters is not the stuff, it's the memories, right, that you make. Pardon me. So I here we are, like we lost everything. So I'm just like right back into it. I'm working, I'm helping my students. I'm trying to like help my family get back on our feet. I started reading some motivational books from a gentleman named Tim Story, and that really got me just in a better mindset that, you know what, you need to step into this and you need to not just support your family, but your community. And as I did more and more of that, I started to see how teaching was really no longer aligned to what I wanted to do and really probably what I was meant to do. I always say you can't be given so much hardship in your life and not have it serve a purpose, right? You can't just
Mhm.
have this all given to you and then you just fall apart. You have to use it to support other people. So that got me thinking about 2 years after the fire when I kind of came up for air. I was like, man, I got to do something different. This is not working. I don't want to keep teaching. I want to do these other things, but I don't know what to do. So I'm scrolling on Instagram, and because, as we know, it completely reads your mind, Instagram knows that I am looking for something different.
Oh,
So,
100%.
right? every work from home advertisement is coming up, right? And so I'm seeing real estate a lot, right? I don't know anything really about real estate. My dad was a realtor, that's about all I know. And so I just clicked on one and I decided to just go for it. And it was not Subto. It was a different community. I did their little weekend training and I just went for it and I signed up. And it was expensive. And I think it was like $20,000. So this is not right. It is not cheap. Um, but that's kind of how I got started into real estate investing was that journey of the fire, knowing that I had more to offer people, knowing that being a teacher, that salary was not going to help me get there, and knowing that I needed to make money because
Mhm.
money is power and it's time. And if you use it wisely and if you use it to serve others, it's a phenomenal tool.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
And I think you had mentioned so previously, so that first mentorship that you were in, because it was a mentorship, right?
absolutely different than sub two,
Yeah,
right? It was just a good
100%.
old fashioned. Yeah, no, go on. Yeah,
But so within that mentorship, that's where you met your first partner, though, correct?
it is. So it
Yeah.
is absolutely the
Everything has a
most,
purpose.
it is, it's the most precious investment because I got to meet the amazing Pam Mullen and she was my first legit business partner. And we still collaborate on things today. And we met through that. But what we learned real quick was there were not enough people that were taking action and were successful. And so, and as soon as they did, there was nowhere for them to go or way for them to really, they weren't set up to serve other people. And actually, they got penalized if they did try to start their own like side thing that would help people,
Yeah.
right? And so we kind of got to a place where, I mean, we were just spinning our wheels, right? We're doing all the things and we'd invested all this money. We're not making any money. And so yes, there was community, but again, it wasn't community that was driven by this power of serving each other, right? That
Mhm.
go-giver spirit that we talk about. And just not enough information, like just enough to like get you there, but not enough to bring you to the finish line, right?
Just enough to be slightly dangerous, but not enough to actually
A
take some
100%.
initiative.
No, that's so true. And especially in the private money lending space, that is huge. Realized that so many people were losing a ton of money because there just wasn't enough information on lending. There was enough to go figure out how to find a deal, but not enough to help you learn how to secure yourself and or what to do if the deal goes sideways, right?
Which in real estate, we know pretty much everything can go sideways.
We just got done before we
Yeah.
started recording. We were talking about that, how
Mhm.
first things that I learned is how to pivot gracefully because
I
it's
like
all
that.
about relationships. And when things go sideways, if you can pivot gracefully, you can save a relationship. And that's important, you know?
Yeah, I really like that because in real estate, obviously, I mean, it's not if you're going to have a problem, it's when you're going to have a problem. So I really like that pivot gracefully. That's well put.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, it's huge.
so you mentioned PML. So obviously you went into the PML space. I know when I first met you in Sub 2, you were actually that's what you and Pam were doing was the chicks investing. So
Yeah.
kind of, what was the progression from that mentorship to Sub 2 where you're doing the PML and then up to Owners Club? Like
Yeah.
what's that progression look like?
Yeah. So we decided to, when the time that we met, we were doing all kinds of things. Pam had just finished a flip and we were lending on our own and we were doing a little wholesaling. So when we met, we kind of just, brought our forces together and kept doing those things.
Hmm.
But we weren't loving all those things. And so, and again, we just felt like we needed more. So we decided to join Sub 2 and Gator. So we're in both those communities. And I mean, the Gator community, as far as lending, I can't even speak. Like the knowledge is outrageous. There's so much knowledge and so much learning. And then in sub two, it's a community of just wildly successful people that are willing
Mhm.
to give. I think the first month we were in, so many people that were very successful reached out offering to help. And I looked at Pam one day and I go, sometimes I think this guy pays more because he's like a scammer, but this would have to be like a really crazy situation with
Yeah.
all like how could he get these people to call us, right? Like
This is the most elaborate scam I've ever been
that's
a
it.
part of. It's
Right,
going on for
exactly.
over a year now.
Right, right. Obviously it's not. We've come
Yeah.
to learn that it's the real deal. But in that, what was cool is we got to build these relationships. So when we stepped in, one of the things we know we're really good at is building relationships. So we just worked hard those first 6 months, both in Gator and Sub 2 to take action, to meet people, to bring value in any way, shape, or form that we could, right? We weren't extremely successful at that point. We were still learning a lot, but you still have value you can bring from your careers outside of real estate. So we always tell new
Mhm.
people that don't show up and go, "Oh, I have nothing to offer." Well, what are you like a year old? Come on. You have lifetimes to offer. It maybe isn't specific to real estate, but I'm sure you can find a way to tie it into real estate.
Mhm.
So I was working with Justin Tumanowski, and if you haven't met him yet, guys, you got to go follow him on Instagram. He provides so much value. They do a lot of Zooms and
Mhm.
lives every week where they support the community. Anyway, I was having a one-on-one with him, and at the time, I don't even think I really recognized like who I was talking to, right? I mean, he's like a master investor.
Mhm.
And finally, one day he's like, "Would you quit? Like, do you really want to be a wholesaler? Like, I have a wholesale business. It's like, is that really what you want to build?" And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Not really." And so he recognized that Pam and I both had, some funds available. And he's like, "I really think you two should learn about private money lending and start there. That's going to help you build some capital while you figure out what else to do."
Mhm.
So that's actually when we joined Gator. And we very quickly had a business. Like it just happened organically because we took the time to build really authentic relationships with people. We took the time to get to know people and understand, what they needed and how we can serve them. And so we went from just doing our own lending to being what's called or considered a connector, where we had relationships with borrowers and relationships with lenders. And then when a borrower would bring us a deal, we would try to find a good fit for them as far as a lender. Um, and we really wanted it to be like a long-term relationship for them so that they could help build each other's businesses, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so again, that just happened like overnight. Like, what's going
Like
on?
we're lenders now.
Right. We're like, I guess we've got a private money lending business.
Yeah.
And that's where Chicks Investing came from. We didn't have that in the mentorship. We started that once we joined Sub 2 and Gator.
Oh,
Um,
that's good to know.
and along the journey, we found that we really enjoyed sharing with people the truth about lending and the mistakes that we've made, the mistakes that we've seen people make, and just putting our ego aside and like owning up to that and saying, "Let
Mhm.
me help you. Let me tell you this big mistake I just made." Okay. So
The
that,
good, the bad, the ugly.
yes, yeah. So we were just talking about that today. It's been almost a year. We have a Tuesday call for women, and it's called Coffee with the Chicks. So that's been fun. And we've enjoyed
Mhm.
doing that. And just when we think like, oh, like, should we keep doing this? Does it really help people? We get on the Tuesday call and somebody brings a problem and we help work it through. And everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing, so much value." We're like, and we'll keep doing it.
It's like, okay, this is worth it. I guess we need to keep soldiering on.
Yeah, I mean, we do love it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We do love it. So that brings us to Owners Club. And I would agree with you. Owners Club is a mastermind on crack. I mean, I never
100%.
in my wildest dreams would I have imagined we'd be owning businesses together. We would be supporting and growing each other's businesses. We could lean on each other. Um, and we're working on our personal growth as well.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a whole
Um,
package all in one. It's amazing.
it is, it's crazy. And so when we joined Owners Club, we were at this point with our private money lending business where we either had to scale and grow or figure out how to keep it where it was and not go crazy. Because we were like, we couldn't do it all by ourselves, but we didn't know how to scale a business. And so we joined Owners Club because we knew we would get the support to grow a business. But as we worked through what we call our Mount Everest, right, our 3 to 5
Hmm.
year bigger goal, we got on a call one day and I think we were both a little nervous to tell each other, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't like this.
It's like, oh, you were thinking that too?
We
Oh
were
my
right. And
goodness.
it was like, you go first. No, 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 you go. No, no, you go. Right. And so fortunately, we both agreed that we don't really love being private full-time lender connectors. It's just doesn't bring us joy. And, life's too short to do something you don't love. And so that put us on a really different trajectory. We already have some properties together. We're really interested in co-living. We really are passionate about seniors and making sure seniors have affordable housing. And so for a little bit, we really were just focused on senior co-living. We've kind of um, broadened that, not to say we don't still love and want to support our seniors,
Yes,
but we
100%.
recognize that in order to do it right, you really need to have community partnerships. You really need to be able to bring services to support them. I mean, we're thinking independent seniors, but still, you still need to make sure that they have means to get to and from appointments and all the little things.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of its own business really in
Oh,
itself. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, so we we kind of pivoted and we're at a place right now where we're both doing a little bit of different things, but yet still collaborating on things. Um, as you know, because I felt so comfortable in Owners Club and I feel so supported,
Mhm.
when I had a one-on-one opportunity with Pace, I shared with him that my dream has always been to be a motivational speaker. And I was really scared that I was going to get on this call and go, "Can we talk about something other than real estate?" And he was going to be like, "What? You're crazy."
Why
But
are you here?
right, why are you here? Somebody else can take your spot. But he wasn't. I mean, he was so sweet and he spent the whole time talking to me about what it looks like, how I can make that happen, how he can support that path. And so I've really taken to that. Um, it's going to be a long work in progress journey, but I'm excited. I've already had some people reach out to ask for support on just motivation, and mindset, which is really, really
I,
cool.
I think it'll be much shorter than you think. I think you're already much further than you think.
I so appreciate that. I do. But let's be real, that's not making money right now,
No,
and that's okay.
that's more of a
I
long-term play for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I knew when I left teaching, that's why I went into real estate because I wanted to do other things that weren't necessarily going to pay the bills, and this being one of them. So, um, still buying and holding properties, looking to focus more on co-living or what I like to call creative living. One of my properties in Hawaii is a multifamily, and when we remodeled it, there was a staircase between the up and the down, and we were really mindful to keep that intact because in places like Hawaii, actually all throughout the country, multi-generational living is very common. Anybody that lives outside of America, for the most part, they live with extended family. It's very common. In America, however, it's like impossible to get a rental for, you, your wife, your two kids, your aunt, your grandma, your brother-in-law, and their two kids. Like, no one wants to rent to you. So in Hawaii, it's extremely common, and we wanted to make sure that we could keep that intact, and that was our goal. And so we rented our first unit to an extended family,
Hmm.
and I mean, it was just felt great. They were so grateful. They couldn't find a home together. They couldn't really afford to not live together, not just financially, but the grandma helped take care of the kids so that the kids weren't in preschool, which they couldn't afford anyway. And so that felt amazing. And then when the bottom unit came up, we were able to bring in some more of the family, a brother, sister-in-law, and their kids. So I love that. I think any way that we can be creative to support families, we have to start doing that. It is not it we are out of the, stay-at-home mom days, right? Where a
Yeah.
family can survive on one income. And when I was a single mom, I had a very hard time. I'd moved, I didn't have a teaching job yet. I was substitute teaching. I had enough income to pay the bills, but I would go look at places with my daughter. She was 7 at the time, and we would go. I'll never forget, we went to look at a studio apartment, and it was big, big studio, and lots of ways, to divide the space. And I brought her along, and the landlord, it was a guy, he goes, I just don't think this is going to work. I mean, this just isn't enough space. And your daughter's going to be in puberty soon. She's really going to need her own space. It's really the right thing to do. And I was like, holy moly.
What about my wallet?
Yeah. And I said, you are absolutely right. I wish I could afford an apartment where my daughter had her own room. You are
Yeah.
absolutely right. And I'm doing everything I can to get to that place. But I'm a teacher in California, and my income is not enough to pay for a 1 bedroom, let alone a 2 bedroom apartment.
Hmm.
Well, what happens if if you lose your job? And I go, well, how is that any different than when I was married and a stay-at-home mom if my husband had lost his job? You know, so
You figure it out.
right, you figure it out. So those experiences really opened my eyes to, and at the time I wasn't involved in it, real estate investing. So as I got involved, I was like, wow, I remember how hard it was as a single mom to find somewhere to live. Like, I want to be more open to how can we support people. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously we have to make sure that they can pay the rent. If they can't pay the rent and you lose the house, you're not helpful at all. It's like put the mask on, on the airplane kind of
Yeah.
thing.
You got to
But
take care of yourself first.
right. Yeah. So I love that there's so many of us that are involved in co-living and just becoming more and more open to supporting people where they're at.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So you're now shifting. You're still obviously in real estate very much. You still have the lending business
Yep. Yep. I
and
still am a private money lender myself. I don't do any like connecting of people, but yep,
Mhm.
still letting out my own funds.
But heavy focus as of right now is more towards the motivational speaker
Yeah,
portion.
it
Perfect.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
And then,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say keeping some buy and holds. And I think I shared with you in Boston, I'm starting to get into the portfolio side of things. And
Oh,
so,
nice.
okay, maybe I didn't share that with you.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure we mentioned that.
I've got quite a gift, and a good friend gave me a connection with some large buyers that have a massive fund. And then I have a friend who was doing acquisitions already. And so I'm kind of learning and working in that space a little bit. And so ideally, that is probably the same amount of time invested looking at a portfolio as you almost would just a small PML deal. And
Hmm.
so, but the income from that is 10, 20 fold.
Oh,
And so
wow.
ideally, I can spend the same amount of time, but make more money by helping sell a portfolio and then have free time to go speak. So
That's
that's really
great.
the goal. Right.
Yeah, that's the thing in real estate. As you get into it, the further down that rabbit hole you go, you start to realize, okay, now I can spend the same amount of time and make just as much, if not more, by doing this other thing over here. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
neat. So
But it's
that's
a progression, right? You have to, I
mhm,
think if you're new into real estate, you've kind of got to go through that. I meet a lot of gators that will go, oh yeah, I got this connection. I'm trying to raise $3 million. I'm like, have you finished the first PML training? No, no, no,
mhm,
because I got this deal, it came right to me. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
time out. I love that. I love your energy and enthusiasm, but you don't know what you're doing. Like, how can you raise $3 million and you haven't even done any of the training?
100%. It's like what Dan Martell said the other day. You can't compare your year one to someone else's year 20. I mean, it's just not realistic.
I love that you say that. I think I see myself, I know Pam and I talk about this and other people, we get caught up easily in the comparison. It's super
Mhm.
easy in real estate. People are always talking about their wins, which I love. And like, we're all at a different journey, right? Someone on our call today said, gosh, I just feel like for me, I can't have like 3 projects going at once. It's too much for me and my life. And I'm similar. Like, I have a teenager. I want to be really present. It's her last year in high school. And so I'm the same way. I don't want to have 3 or 4 projects. I want to have more time to spend with her. If that means I'm not going to pick up, one property every quarter this year, that's okay. But it's super easy to catch myself comparing myself.
Oh yeah, that's the important thing. I mean, I think you can definitely attest to this after this year is you really have to know yourself when you're getting into real estate. Because otherwise, if you're comparing to all these big dogs in here, it's you're just gonna be disappointed with the progress where you're making a ton of progress on your side.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
totally
appreciate
respect
that.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You're the
Thank you.
big dog in this scenario, just so you
Oh boy, I don't know about that.
know.
We're equal on the playing field, my friend.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing, so obviously I want to make sure that the audience has some like actionable advice going out of this. So from your standpoint, I mean, obviously from a school teacher to real estate investor, now motivational speaker, as
Hmm.
well as portfolios, like dabbling in portfolios.
Yeah.
What was the thing that needed to shift most for you transitioning from that? Because I think there's a lot of people in the space where, hey, I'm in my job. I don't necessarily like my job. Maybe I want to get into more philanthropic type activities, like you're saying, more
Yeah.
volunteering. Like what had to shift for you?
Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to mindset. It really comes down to mindset, and it's something I still struggle with every day. Um, I think, even some of the greats that we talk to, it's hard, our brain is telling us a different story a lot of the time. And it's putting yourself in the right community, I think, is the biggest thing and the best thing that you can do for yourself. And working alongside people that are going to lift you up, because this is a tough industry. It's a crazy amount of work, and you can't doubt yourself. You really have to stay focused. And I think, yeah, it really does come down to the mindset. If you can hear that in the background, sorry, gang, that is
Oh,
the yard crew coming in hot. It never fails. They're always here when I'm recording a podcast. Yeah,
oh,
if you're getting started in the space, or you're in the space and you're feeling stuck, I think a couple of things, like we said, do not compare yourself to other people. We all are in it for a different reason, and we all are in different phases in our life, right?
mhm.
Um, so don't compare yourself, and just do things every day to support your own mental health and your growth and your mindset shift. So whether you're meditating, or you're listening to affirmations, or you're listening to motivational speaking books, you have to carve out time to do that stuff for yourself. You do. And you have to move your body, you have to exercise. I'm terrible at that. I try to walk every day. I'm standing right now at my desk. I try to at least move and shift and stuff if I'm not out on a walk. But that's when
Mhm.
I tend to listen to an audiobook or some motivational something, is when I'm walking. So you get a double whammy there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
definitely, so mindset shift and then find your community. It sounds like
It's
that's the
all about it's all about the
yeah,
community. I mean, look at us. Like, we became such good friends, and we support each other. And I know I could call you anytime when I'm down and
100%.
out and be like, Josh, please tell me that I'm not crazy. Like, help me out here. I'm like, I feel this, that, and the other, and you're there for me, and vice
Mhm.
versa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm also the person that may tell you what you need to hear as far as, hey, maybe you are crazy.
that's
Maybe
right.
that's what you need to hear.
That's
You
true.
gotta
I
have
think
people.
you've
You
told me
gotta
that
have
before.
people that will call you on your stuff. And that's what I really appreciate about this. Because
Yeah, that's what a good friend's
we'll
about.
yeah, we'll love and support each other, but we'll also call each other on our BS, if you will.
That's right. 100%. Yeah. So those would be my two biggest takeaways. Yeah.
That's great.
I love
Now,
that.
as far as obviously you've got a lot of stuff you're balancing right now, with everything that we've mentioned. So what would be your advice to balance the amount of stuff that you've got going on right now? Like, what's been the most impactful thing for you? Obviously, you mentioned you got to be moving every day. It's a mindset stuff, but
Yeah.
what would you suggest somebody just starting getting into real estate,
Oh, right.
making that change over?
Yeah. Yeah, I would two things. One, if you're at a W-2, stay at your W-2. Okay, I left mine. And let me say this with a grain of salt. If you can stay, I left because my teaching job became unhealthy for me. It was causing a lot of stress and I wasn't feeling well. And so, and then there were some personal things that were happening as well. And so it was just better for me to leave. But it also put a lot of strain and stress because now I don't have a job. Um, so if you can stay, stick it out for a little bit and just carve out the time to get into investing until you have kind of your feet on the ground.
Mm.
There's a benefit to W-2. I mean, it allows you to, pull equity out of your house, right? All of a sudden I have a W-2, I've got 300,000 in equity in my house. I can't touch it because they're like, you don't have a job, lady.
When
So
you're a real estate investor, you don't show anything on paper.
yeah, last year it was so cute. My daughter, we were doing her stuff for college and she's like, Mom, I need to know your gross income for last year. And it was a negative number, right? And she was so cute. She goes, Oh, Mama, I'm so sorry. Don't you worry. You'll make it all back this year. It was so precious. I go, Oh no, girl, that's a good number to have.
That just means my CPA did their job.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, so take be patient with yourself. There's a
Mhm.
lot to do in real estate. Pick one thing, stick with it for a couple months, learn everything there is about it, try it out, and if you don't love it, pivot.
Mhm.
But no matter what you learn in real estate, whether you dive into it at the end of the day or not, every piece of information you learn in real estate, you will use. End of story. You're going to use it.
I agree.
There's no way around it because whether you're private money lending or you're buying, holding, or whatever the case may be, you need all those pieces. You need to understand how to borrow money. You need to understand how to lend money. You need to learn how to underwrite properties. You need to be able to evaluate whether a deal is good or not. So start out with what feels good. Maybe you want to try wholesaling. Give it a try for a couple months.
Mhm.
But the number one thing is don't do it alone. Whatever you do, do not do it alone. Get on a team. So if you're in sub 2, that's easy. If you are in sub 2 and you don't have a team, that's on you.
Oh,
Get on a
yes,
team.
yes.
Get in the Zooms, put your info in the side chat, tell people how you can support them. Here's what I have to offer. Here's what I'm looking for. Get on a team. If you're not in sub 2, go to your local REI meetups, get in other Facebook groups. But again, you need a team of people. You cannot do this job by yourself. There's no way.
No, it's very
Yeah.
much a team sport, and I mean, like any business, it's a people business. I mean,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
gotta be around people.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff. Now, I think the other thing here, one, with what you got going on now, what's your primary need in your business? How can people help you if they get in touch with you?
Oh gosh. Boy, the place I really struggle is time management. I'm
Mhm.
working very hard to be better at time blocking. The days that I actually follow through with the time block I'm so successful. I don't know why, like I can't do it every day. It's ridiculous. But I'm working on that. And that's definitely an area like systems. I'm really proud of myself. I brought somebody on not too long ago who's helping clean up my emails.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have like 4 emails and they're all over the place and it's a disaster.
Mm.
And so yeah. Um
So is
and then
that like a executive assistant type role?
yeah, well, right now she's just working on the emails, but I think as we're building a rapport together, we really enjoy working together. We seem like a good fit. As she's setting up like my email inbox,
Mhm.
she's like, so what are your thoughts on like how you would set it up? And I was like, well, I'd love it to be set up so that someday somebody else is managing my email. Hint, hint. So maybe set it up as if you were doing that.
Total visionary.
Yeah, 100%. Right. So,
Look, I want to
um,
be on stage and speaking.
I just want to be on stage speaking, and I just want you to tell me when I have to look at something.
Yeah.
Now, so that's a big one. And then I'm learning so much about social media. If
Hmm.
you would have told me a couple years ago I was going to have a YouTube channel and an Instagram and I was going to make content and post it, I would have peed my pants laughing so hard. Like I am the furthest person. I didn't have Facebook until I got into investing and realized, oh, this like people use this for other than like trashing each other and sharing
Yeah.
baby photos. Like, wow.
Yep. It's a necessity in the real estate business. You
Mhm.
get a lot
Yeah.
of deals through there.
Yeah, so I need help with that. That's kind of the next phase for me is getting support so that I'm not, we're making this lovely video. Is it going to take me a week before I like get it posted?
Hmm.
So that's my next place. So I
I
am
know
working
they
with,
have, it's
yeah.
funny when you bring up stuff like this, obviously they have scheduling softwares, but I think what goes through people's minds is like, okay, so I can schedule it out, I can put it in there, but now I need to learn that software that schedules it out.
100%.
There's always something that you have to learn to it. So
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as the time management thing, so that's something I've been working on quite a bit lately, but um, have you tried Monday.com at all?
Yep. Tried Monday. Yep.
Are you into task lists or what like what would I guess what would help motivate you to get to the time blocking to where
Yeah, I mean, I think part of what happens is I get backed up from all our travels. We do a lot of traveling. And
Mhm.
then I come back and I find myself just under water.
Yeah,
And then, but yet you're still having to do the day to day.
yeah.
Um, I feel like I'm getting closer to getting caught up on things, which is helpful. Having this gal help me is amazing. And I'm looking to bring her on a more, not just project based, but on a regular
Mhm.
basis to help with, all the different things. I mean, when you own real estate, you have multiple entities, right? And they all
Yeah.
have annual reports due. And
Mhm.
in some states, you're paying taxes on the rent that you pay on a quarterly basis. And so there's all those little pieces. But I do go back and forth with how do I manage like the tasks. And so I've come to just utilize on Google the tasks,
Mhm.
and that's definitely helpful when I'm sharing my calendar, my email with an assistant because she can see my tasks and I can give tasks to her as well through that. So I'm getting there. And I think the more I time block and have successful days, the more solidified it gets in my head. You just need to
Mhm.
do this. Like there's no way around it. You have to do this. And if you don't, you're going to have a rough day, girl.
Yeah, and I think that the accountability side of things, I mean, that's super helpful. Like even with you hiring on this new lady, I mean, as far as just taking the emails over, maybe helping you organize your tasks a little better. But I mean, having that structure, you could even have her help keep you accountable. I think with Dan Martell, as far as like buy back your time, I mean, that's
Yeah,
essentially what you're doing. I mean, you're buying back your time at this point. I mean, you've
exactly.
got your hands in a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is real estate is 100% a business. So you're operating that business. You have the private money lending business. You have owners club.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot to
Stop
manage
talking
for
about
one
it. I'm going to
person.
get overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not helping.
No, no, no. I'm totally kidding. Oh, I said the O
Uh,
word. Watch out.
oh.
No, nope. Successful people don't get overwhelmed. So we're working on
No,
it.
they
Yep.
do not.
That's right.
They put it a
Oh my
nicer way, I
God.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Lots
well,
good problem to have.
it's very much so. It's good to have business. But so again, thank you so much for taking your time on this. I really appreciate it. This is amazing. But what's the best way for somebody to reach it, get a hold of you if they have any questions or
Um,
can help you out?
yeah. Yeah, please. Anybody listening to this, if you have any questions about anything we talked about, don't hesitate to reach out. I do better responding on Instagram than Facebook, I'll be honest. But all of my handles are the same. So you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, at Tracy Koa. Oh, and YouTube.
Perfect.
Yep, just Tracy
Great.
Koa, Tracykoa.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where you head this next year. But again, thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much
you
for
as
this time.
much.
I really appreciate you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, that wraps up our first Take Ownership podcast. Thanks for listening and subscribe to hear more.